We are back in the garage.
Hey.
We don't have snow, but
Nope.
it's a little cooler than it has been, but we're doing okay. And what we have is 3 canned home brewed beers. Patrick in the Denver area contacted me, asked me if I want to try some stuff. I said, of course. Duh. So, the first one is Gertie's Revenge Belgian Blonde, 1068 to 1014. Pills, wheat, Vienna, candy syrup, and it's got Blanc there, so it looks like it's not contributing color.
0 level ball.
And a little bit of aromatic, bittered with Magnum.
I'm not being antisocial, I'm doing research.
Actually, he's got 0 minutes for Magnum, 30 minutes for Steering Golding, 10 minutes for Steering Golding. So,
That seems backwards, right?
well, it says 0 instead of like, yeah, I don't
60.
know. Yeah, it's 60.
Oh, maybe he starts.
I'm not sure. IBUs, I was just curious to see if we had, 30 IBUs. So yeah, there's some bitterness in there. But more importantly, it's delicious.
It is awesome.
The yeast is White Labs Monastery Ale WLP 500, and so he was just wondering if that could be a Chimay-related monastery, or it could just be something from the Trappist breweries.
Yeah.
I think some of those strains, those Belgian strains, I think are some of the ones from some of those monastic breweries.
I haven't found a source other than that it used to be known as the Trappist ale yeast.
Oh, well there you go. I mean,
the Chimay that I was thinking of is the white label triple, which is about 8%. So the closest to this in their portfolio. I was comparing it to Chimay, so that's pretty high praise.
well,
It just has that spicy, that like
peppery,
kind of cooling herbal kind of thing that a Belgian yeast will do, right?
and he's got it as a Belgian blonde, and it's kind of between a lighter Belgian blonde and a triple.
Right.
I think it's a 7%
Right.
strong blonde
Yeah.
type of a beer. The malt character is very nice. It's got the I think the a little bit of the sweetness from the Vienna. I'm not sure. It is 20% wheat. If it was more carbonated, that's one thing we noticed, and I didn't ask Patrick about this, but I'm wondering if you just fill them from a tap, put the lid on there. It's sort of just like the way we fill a 12 ounce and off the tap and cap it, or a crowler to bring to somebody's house. I don't think it's like overly engineered canning process.
It's hard to get it to warm up on a day like this. We actually talked about maybe getting like a measuring glass of hot water to kind of give it a warm water bath, because it is pretty chilly, but as it warms as much as it's gonna warm, I'm also getting like some floral, just the slightest bit of like this kind of like
Maybe from the yeast.
vanilla, but nothing like a vanilla porter, just like the vanillin, I think is the compound. But yeah, I think, like I looked it up, like I just said, like Chimay has a triple that's 8%, and they call it crisp beer, light orange color, the most hopped and driest of the 3. And I would say that whether or not, there's no reason to think this is like a replica of that beer.
Yeah.
But it is hoppy.
It's a little bit
It
of
is
the hop
definitely
bitterness.
drier than most Belgian beers this big. Unless you're doing like a triple that's nice and fizzy and champagne-y.
Well, it also
Champagne.
is close to having an alcohol note, and some of those beers certainly will.
You wouldn't mistake this for like a potter's beer if you were to just have it poured. It's definitely not session strength. It's good. I like it.
It's quite good.
It's a great start.
Yeah, Patchworks Brewing.
X.
I believe he is on the Instagram.
Oh, is he on the web?
He's on the Instagram. I found him. We connected. Patchworks, WORX. I suppose I could put a link in the thing. But yeah, we'll wrap this one up, and we got 2 more. That's going to be what it's going to be. The people will get what they pay for. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that free subscribe. Smash that like button.
Alright, so we were wondering about the bittering boil edition, and it says 0 minutes, and we were wondering about that, but then I see it says first wort. So that is the boil edition for the blonde. I also got the email, and he said something about the professional brewer tried the blonde and they said it was like a strong Belgian strong. Tasted like a Belgian. And so I said like jokingly strong blonde. So it's sort of a stepping stone there. But on to the next beer, American Stout. Frozen Toad Stout. This is a 1068 to 1019, 6.5% alcohol, 2-row Munich, and one of my occasional quirky fun malts to use, brown malt. 14%, which is a not insignificant amount of that type of malt. A little bit of victory. There's some Dark Crystal 80, Midnight Wheat, and roasted barley beer with Chinook. And then there's some Willamette in there as well. And the yeast, Darkness, Imperial Yeast.
Should also add that the Munich is nearly 30%. It's not just like a little Munich. You know? So between the Munich and the brown, I think that that's a pretty unique kind of take on a stout malt bill.
I don't get a lot of bitterness from the hops necessarily, even though it's listed as 60. But the other thing is, with the bitterness of the other ingredients, it can be tricky. They're sort of fighting for that limelight in the bitterness spotlight.
It's interesting though, I get hops on the nose though. For sure, because there's something on the nose that is not just malt and not yeast. There's like...
I haven't even tried, to be honest. It's
kind of like
a occur to me that
pininess almost, like just a very slight piney...
I don't know if you can be getting that from the Chinook that's added like at basically the boil addition and then 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, possible.
I don't know what Willamette's profile is off the top of my dome, but I bet it's kind of earthy,
yeah,
citrusy.
That's what I would think.
That's a Hallertau, I think. That could be all kinds of wrong. Your comment section
well,
is full of corrections.
It's a English variety, isn't it? Or used in English type beers?
It's interesting, the darkness, Imperial Darkness, because that's what I've used for my rye Irish stout, both versions of the rye espresso stout or rye stout with espresso. So I've used
the
it.
Darkness?
It's got that kind of flavor. There's
something.
You think so? Yeah, there's something in there, and I think it's the Guinness strain, if I'm not mistaken. So it's like built to carry stout.
I like this beer with the brown malt. Brown malt is this weird kind of malt that if you have not ever used it, and I find that like people, the recipe that I first used it in came from Todd Haugat, former brewer at Surly, and he didn't just use like 5%. He put in like 15 to 18% into this big brown ale that he made, and so you really got a taste of it, and it was just really unique. It has its own bitterness to it, sort of a, you were talking about brownie like without the sweetness,
like the burnt crust of brownies, bittersweet
crust, yeah, toasted burnt toast,
yeah,
burnt toast. But the other thing is, Midnight Wheat, Dark Crystal 80, and roasted barley. Those three add up to about 8.5% of the grain bill. So close to 10%. So you do get some of that, but then the brown malt also has its own unique character. And then you have this 60 IBUs of the hops. This is also very good, I think. I mean, well done, clean tasting, unique formulation. I don't know if this is... We were wondering about toad spit. I remember trying Papazian.
I thought it was frozen toad. I was like, there was a recipe in the OG Joy of Homebrewing, but it turns out that is toad spit stout.
Funny.
But I rewarded our old man brains for at least remembering the toad part.
I didn't remember.
I was like, oh yeah, I remember the picture with the toad and the tongue.
I don't know if I could. I've read that book once or twice. I don't know if I could remember any of the goofy recipes.
Yeah, the bummer about these aren't not being able to even warm up because of the drinking conditions. It's just like, I don't know what to say, like, as it gets more warm with some of that, like, malty bitterness and astringency kind of come out and do a whole different thing, but...
It might, but it's... We aren't judging it for the national homebrew competition.
No, this is...
But it's like,
this is
I think sometimes people want to know, hey, do you agree that this beer is well made and I like it, And can I send you some? And I mean, then I get it, and I agree. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep, if you're lucky, it's a well-made beer.
There you go.
And they usually are.
No, these two have been outstanding, and now we have this potentially 10% alcohol British beer. That's either a, what do you call it? Session barley wine, or it also says Mr. Malty on the can, and then on here it says go big or go home. So we're gonna have to get to the
British Strong Ale.
We're gonna have to get to the bottom.
A British Strong Ale, kind of like an old Luddite.
Of what's going on there.
I think he's just saying it's not, because if you look at American barley wines, they are usually more like 11, 12.
What's an up dog?
What up, dog?
All right. The mystery beer is a big British barley wine type beer. He's got it down as a British Strong Ale, but it is also 10% alcohol. 1109 to 1032. Morris Otter, Golden Promise, that makes up the majority of it. Also, another 15% charge of Munich. He's got some liquid malt extract in here, 3 pounds in a 7-gallon batch. And then he's got 10% of a couple kinds of Care Munichs, bittering with Magnum, and also some Willamette, fermenting with Imperial Pub Ale.
Fuller's.
London ESB,
English Ale.
that type of thing. This is another solid, delicious beer.
For sure. I don't know why he called it a session barley wine in the email. It's 10%. It tastes like a barley wine to me. At least an English barley wine.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the BJCP guidelines, I'm sure, start at, I don't know, 8, 9% or something, the minimum for a barley wine. I'm sure 10% qualifies for that status.
It poured like an awesome head. I love barley wines, or British strong ales, whatever you want to call it. And I was excited from the second this hit the glass.
Would you call this?
Smells like brown sugar and toffee, and
it's a little lighter in color, actually, than some barley wines, which are browner. This is an orange tint. I don't know that you would. There's such a thing as a golden barley wine. I don't know that I'm super familiar with that, but would that be even lighter than this, you think?
Yeah, like when Dawson did the golden barley wine, it looked like you would think you were about to drink a triple, and then when it hits your mouth, you're like, nope. No, like I seriously think Old Blackguard from Summit / Old Scallywag, our friend Paul Fowler's tribute to Old Blackguard, like this is like the wheelhouse it was in. Like this like inverty sugar, kind of caramelized orange color. It's awesome.
Yeah.
This is good.
It's not overly chewy, even though it is 1032 final gravity, but there is a orangey. It's a blanket of malt sweetness that you want to crawl under, and
it's just really
and
got like
sip
orange
from.
jam, orange marmalade, toast.
Yeah.
I don't know, I get a big thing of like brown sugar though.
Golden Promise. Morris Otter I've used. Golden Promise I'm not that familiar with. I don't know if that's different. I don't know if that's a slightly less sweet base malt. But he's got...
I know most about is like that's what Surly used to use as a base malt in a lot of beers.
Oh, really? Okay.
And it always surprised me because I was like, oh, that's a little richer than like a Pils or a 2-row. It's got some oomph behind it.
Wow, we had a Strong Belgian, American Stout, and now this beast.
Good.
I think it was.
Super
I think you were
fun.
right in like reordering it to this finish with the big
No,
bag.
Donna wanted to like go to this.
I just was following directions.
Either way,
1,
we're
2,
drinking
3.
them all. It's not like it.
Patrick,
we're gonna psych out this barley wine by having drank a stout before it.
he told me he was expecting to get 40 inches of snow in Denver this weekend, and that seems like a misprint. That seems like a bad scene. I know you get the
But it
snow
doesn't
and
last
the
there as a beauty. Like that one time we went
Yeah,
to the blizzard,
perhaps.
people were like freaking out, and we're like driving around trying to like tour breweries during a blizzard. Then like the next day it was gone, and the day before it was like 75. So
Thank you,
Yeah,
Patrick,
for sure.
for sending these beers. I will link your Instagram. Everyone go check out the Instagram if you want and follow his brewing escapades. As far as I can tell, he's doing a lot right. Extremely detailed notes.
Yes.
He's got this program. He's got water treatments.
I was gonna say we should ask him for the recipe so you can link it. That's a lot of work. Go to his Instagram, hit up Patrick, ask him for these recipes. I bet you he's got a PDF. I would brew.
These are PDFs, but I don't know I don't know if he wants to share them or not.
Sure he does. He shared it with you. You could easily be putting them on the internet.
I sold them already
Yeah.
in Kazakhstan.
I would brew any of the three of these, but I like the Stout and the Barleywine. The Barleywine's a hit. I would say brew that, let it hang out for a year. Not because it needs to, but just like to let it.
That's one thing I didn't really do is look at dates. Like a lot of times, some of these beers we get are date sensitive, and I didn't even try to look at that kind of information because it didn't matter for any of these.
True.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for watching. Get warm. Catch you later.